Hello there. Now we're going to be moving on to our next monk run. We just did our monk story guide here. Now we're moving on to the monk Pebbles run. Now Pebbles percent, whatever people like to call it. This monk run is going to be exactly the same as the survivor run. However, I'm going to recommend that you run it as monk because it is much easier to be playing as monk for 3 reasons. 1, you have a stealth bonus. 2, you have a friendliness bonus. You have higher rep with every creature. You have like 20 rep with everything, going from 0 to negative 100 to positive 100. You're at 20. So you have the highest rep with creatures of any starting character, as I understand. And you also have immunity to dying to lizard bites. And so if you get bitten by a lizard, normally as any character, you have a chance to instantly die. When it comes to red lizards, you still instantly die. We're not dealing with red lizards as monk. But for monk and gourmand, you do not have that chance to instantly die. And when you're bitten by a lizard, you will have that moment to throw an item in your hand and be completely fine. So in a lot of cases for this run, you just kind of pretend creatures don't exist. And you're just kind of going, and you just have a spear in your hand, and you purposely get bit, and then you throw the spear at that point. So that'll be a big thing that we're going to be doing here today. Now I'm going to assume people know what settings they need to do for this run. One of the things I want to state here is people may be finding this run from the Discord challenge on the main Rain World Discord. Now this run is specifically, you want to be doing it as Survivor, I believe, for the Discord challenge, but because this is the most submitted run at speedrun.com, the Survivor Pebbles run that is, it's definitely something that I'd recommend trying, whether you're doing the actual Discord challenge or not, to try this run and understand what's going on, because Pebbles is essentially the fastest intended way to beat the game. We are going to use karma caching right at the beginning just to speed up so we don't have to farm for food a huge amount. You don't have to do that if you don't like the glitches aspect, but otherwise we're not using any glitches. We're just going to Pebbles. We're ending the game. Any percent just goes straight to the end of the game, skips by the Guardians, but in our case we actually do it legitimately. I've said enough words at this point. It took way too long. We're going to start the game. Circle fills and the timer starts. If you hold S when the circle completely fills, it doesn't load in the cutscene at all, making this section just a bit faster if you want that real-time faster. However, for the speed run, we only care about the in-game timer, at least on speedrun.com. If you're doing the Discord challenge, I believe you need to be under 35 minutes for the Discord role that you're trying to get real-time. But otherwise, I'm just going to kind of go. We're just going to kind of do movement. Again, with the title, I'm going to say this as a intermediate level kind of guide, as I'm not going to go over every small thing. I'm going to assume people know the basic movement or just some of the things that I'm doing. And if you don't, you get to kind of see what I am doing and know that it exists. Now that movement right there is one thing I talked about way too much in my previous run, but basically you can do a backflip, you can boost off the pole, and then you can jump in midair because you've boosted off the pole and the game still thinks you're on the pole, and as long as you're not moving downwards, you can boost off it. I'm not going to say any more because I spoke way too much last time, so we're going to move on. That's a thing that can happen. A lot of ways through that room. Just understanding what you can do is very good. You can also do that same jump here to get the second berry that's really high up. Because we are monk, we only need the 4 berries, so we don't need to think about a batfly. Survivor would have to think about getting a batfly here. Essentially, we just need enough food to save, and then 1 more so we can starve if we're using the karma cache method. I know there's a lot of people that have been thinking about glitchless. I've kind of talked about this in some of my guides before. Some people just really like the idea of glitchless, just playing the game as it's intended, beating the game as it's intended, in the fastest way. In this case, this is this run with the Pebbles percent run. And so if you don't want to do karma caching, we're doing karma caching right now, which is essentially, well, you auto eat the berry. That's why I'm able to starve with 1 food, or in this case, it looks like 0 food. Monk will auto eat the berry. It'll fill up. It'll show on this screen that I've eaten 1 food in case people Understand that. Also, if you're playing an old version of this game, this shelter will actually be smaller. In the case that you still have remix on and the shelter opens fast, you want to make sure you grab the berry and then you're standing up and you're holding down in the corner. Otherwise, we just want to grab the berry, shove our face into a corner, and then hold down. Essentially, what we're doing for karma caching is I hold down, I've saved in a shelter, I'm holding down and I do a starve, and then I immediately quit once we're actually back in the game itself. And so continue, and then we're in the game, we're starving, I'm quitting out. Also, one other thing, as you can kind of see in the bottom left, I wish I moved it a bit higher. I think we'll actually do that. My input viewer there, showing what kind of inputs I have. Let's move that now, just so everyone can kind of see the karma a bit better. Much better. And now you can be able to see my inputs as I do them, in case something doesn't make sense at any given point. The Y button there is the fast roll button, which essentially on keyboard, the keyboard's not able to access a certain move that controller has access to, that being the fast roll, which is basically just inputting a 15 to 25 degree angle from the horizontal instead of like a straight 45 degree angle. Allows you to do a much different roll that is useful in certain situations. And so pressing that button will do a slight down input instead of like a fully pressing down the joystick input, if that makes sense. And so you will see me press that from time to time as I'm able to jump from one height block. So this is one height block from here to here. And then you can do a roll if you just hold down the button and then hold a direction, and then you're doing a diagonal. Now, we're playing as Monk. We're doing the Pebbles %. Very important thing to note is that routing has changed quite a lot. We're going to be going straight to Pebbles in one cycle. And he's going to give us the mark. We're going to get the karma, and then we're going to quit out immediately. And we're going to be all the way back in Outskirts again. Now, if this is the first speedrun you've ever done, or you're really just getting into this run specifically, being able to go from Outskirts or some major distance away and then all the way up to Pebbles is something that can happen in quite a lot of runs, but the Pebbles % run is certainly the one that did it first and did it quite a lot, torturing people over time, trying to think about what is the best route. Some people go and get, this is unfortunate, that worked out though. Some people like to get, at least the old strat that I used to like quite a lot until people proved to me otherwise, was faster way to do things. Get the Squid Cicada in Outskirts, the white one that has more stamina than the darker ones, that is, and go all the way up through Chimney and the wall with that Squid Cicada. What a nice man, jumped across. So one thing about Monk is, compared to Survivor, is Monk's gonna have that Caramel Lizard. Also, you can do this jump, by the way, without a spear. Isn't that cool? But that Caramel Lizard will be here for Monk, but not for Survivor. He's actually quite annoying, and one of the only things why it's annoying to play Monk. But, alright. Old strat used to be you bring a Squid Cicada from Outskirts, you go out of your way to get it, and you bring it up, and it was actually pretty good. And for initially, people really liked it, but as people actually got really good with movement, or at least consistent with going up without things really getting in the way, especially when playing as Monk, then it wasn't really a problem just to go up, and you would actually gain a lot of time over going out of your way for that Squid Cicada. And so now we don't get that Squid Cicada, and I think we're all better for it, as the less time you need to carry another random creature or have to deal with another creature like a deer, the better. That's why some of the deer glitches, people really like that. And we don't need to eat here. However, if you do feel like, if you're just starting or otherwise do feel like you need to rest on the way, try to eat those berries we just passed in the previous room, and then save up here in Chimney, or save at the top of Chimney or the bottom of the wall. Those are good places for checkpoints if you so need it. Now, the only thing that I'll have to say is while we're doing this run, you will want that 4 karma. You'll need 4 karma to get into the wall, which is why we karma cache to that amount. Otherwise, if you are not doing the karma caching, if you so want to do stuff glitchless, then I recommend that I need to take my own advice, just walk in the lizards, pretend they don't exist when I'm holding a spear. You throw the item in your left hand. Otherwise, I want to keep this spear for a thing a little bit. I jumped a little too early. I needed to stand at the top of this. But if you're doing stuff glitchless, might be a good idea. I actually don't know what would be best. If you get to 3 karma by eating a bunch of bat flies and then carrying extra fruit into the shelter. And then also for this jump, I like to boost the wall jump and try to not get into the shortcut pipe, but get into the left side here. But for going back to what I was saying, for the I'm gonna interrupt it again because I'm gonna do a funny thing. Double jump strat. So if you are in a corner of a wall like this, I can hold into the wall and then immediately tap away from the wall and press jump. And then while I'm still heading upwards with that jump, if I press jump again, I then can jump in midair. Because essentially, I'm jumping off the wall. Because I was touching the wall and the floor, it still thinks I'm touching the floor because I've jumped off the wall until I start moving downwards. So I could still do that second jump. And this allows me to throw that spear there. Didn't grab it, but that's fine. Do it again. Works just great. Might be something you want to think about for a run. Can kind of skip around doing some of these shortcuts. If you're doing it for the first time, maybe don't worry about it, but understanding that exists, it's one of the things that is good to know. Going back to what I was saying, if you are doing glitches and you don't want to do karma caching, maybe just going to 3 karma, getting into industrial or into chimney, and then saving, and then you have that 4 karma that you can get and go up through chimney. Might be a good idea to get into the wall. Alright, we've made a pretty good distance here. It's been pretty chill, especially as a monk. If we were playing Survivor, we would have ran into a lot more things. If you want to take the pipes or just go up, that's up to you. So now as monk, the chance of a vulture coming down is really low because of that stealth bonus. It's actually hard for creatures to see us, and so they really just can't detect that we're in a room. At least that's how I like to imagine it. So they just don't come down unless it's for a lizard or if it's just already there. As Survivor, you have no such luck. And so you want to be thinking about how you want to deal with vultures. Now, vultures will always leave if they are stabbed in the face twice. Well, stabbed at all twice. The normal vultures will leave. King vultures will take a few more. I want to do that pounce there because I didn't believe in my backflip. We're going to get 2 items here. Now, basic movement in this game, you saw me do a lot of stuff. You want to know how... We don't have to know. At the end of the day, if you want to speedrun the game, all you got to know is the pounce. But if you really want to do good on speedrunning, learning the slide, the backflip, and the roll, those are your keys to success. Everything else is just variations of that. So if I do backflip into roll, and then I throw 2 items in the air, make it pretty easily across there. Doing the roll gets you a bit more distance than a normal pounce would that you do statically on the ground. Alright, I have lost my train of thought there. I think I was saying something before I went into that I have forgotten about. We kind of went around a little bit there. I'm just saying what I'm thinking about here. There's a lot of different points I'd like to hit. We're kind of just chilling though. We're going up. I'm really not worried. The timer literally can't be bad, especially as monk, because I believe, might be wrong actually, I believe that monk has more lenience on the timer, but also at the same time, we're so early of basically just starting the run, the save file, that I don't even know if we can get that short of cycles. We actually hope for the really, really good runs, that is, we actually hope for shorter cycles, because by the time we get up halfway up the wall, it'll start raining, and that means all the white lizards will hide, but it doesn't rain up there, and so it doesn't affect us as the slug cat. So I'm going to take the inside on all of these paths. I believe actually going on the outside, a few of these might be a good idea. Also, as monk, there is no drop wig here. While a normal wall for Survivor, you'll get all of the orange lizards, a blue lizard, and 4 white lizards, and that drop wig. But for monk, we do not get that drop wig. Now, in the past, runs used to be really on what cycle you got, and then you would want to 100% get here right when the cycle ended, so those white lizards went away. But over time, we got ways to, or at least we got used to dealing with those white lizards. That's something you gotta deal with eventually. But for Monk, the thing about Monk is because of their rep and their stealth bonus, the white lizards, especially the ones on the wall, will simply not react until you get too close or touch them. We're gonna deal with that in a second. Right here, we're gonna do a skip called the orb skip. Now, to the left is the orb with all the orange lizards. If you want to go in there, you can. But the fastest way up is with 2 spears going up the right here. Now, we want to place one here. I'm not going to bet for another spear up top. Where I just picked up a spear from, I actually didn't know that was there, but there's almost always a spear spawning there, so I always check. Now we're going to jump on this brick. Now to do this little jump right here, because we're basically on a unit block, and there's another unit block above us, we want to go next to the wall. Now we tap left while pressing jump, and then we hold right, and you press jump again. Basically what you want to do is, Slugcat has a state when they're slapped against a wall, and there's a corner right above them. You can press jump to climb up. Now normally I don't recommend you press jump to climb up. You should just hold right or whatever direction into it, and you'll just climb up anyway. But in this case, with this single block, you have to just tap. You just barely slap into the wall for a moment, and you have that moment to press jump to climb up before, because it's a single block, you now like become an amorphous blob conforming to that shape that isn't actually a flat wall, if that makes sense. So you want to do that tap left, and then you jump, and then you're here, and now you can go up. Tap left, hold right. Tap left and jump, hold right, and then press jump as you hit that block. Over time, it just becomes consistent. We want that second spear for that part. You're basically always going to enter this next section without a spear. Now, from here on out is where you're pretty much always going to run to the white lizards. If you ever run to a white lizard earlier, that's pretty rare. Because we are Monk, he's really not going to react to this. Because he's acting like that, I have a pretty good idea that is started the rain cycle. Now, one white lizard can live right below us in that one block there. Doesn't appear like it's this one. I am kind of worried. So one thing about running creatures. So these guys are running back to their dens. At this point, also, once you're past the orange room, you can no longer be affected by the rain. So you're completely fine. So don't worry about it. Additionally, if you are in the orange room and it is raining, the rain can't kill you, but it will knock you off. However, it's still possible to get up, but you might it's really hard. So it's kind of the point where I don't know if you keep struggling, but all right. Lizards running past you, don't be in a one wide pipe as it run past you. Only recommendation. All right, we're gonna go up the left here. I always found it a bit better. So 3 white lizards live above us, 1 lives below us. I believe the one that is below us actually lives down there. I'll point out where the others live here. Good thing the fastest way is not in the way in these guys. Say we didn't get here while it was raining. Sorry, I keep pausing here, but I want to talk about it because these are things that I'm thinking about. If it wasn't raining and I only saw like 1 lizard and I'm here, every screen transition you really want to be like immediately paying attention. Is there a guy right there? Did I hear noises of, do I know where the other guy is? Find where those guys are. If they're right on the screen transition, it's always bad. That's the only time it's really a huge problem. Sometimes they can be in the one wide pipes, but that's really rare. I don't know why I'm messing up this jump right now. I'm doing this to myself, really. Too many words, too little time. We do want another spear for an upcoming skip here. If you can't do the 1 spear skip, you can do a 2 spear skip. You can always come back down for a second one. One of the lizard lives right here, the pipe we just passed. And 2 of the lizards live in this next room. Now, if you've gotten this far, I recommend you do not save in that shelter. That shelter is better for other runs. At this point, because we are using downpour, it is going to be sunset time, and creatures of the night will start coming out. Although personally, oh, there's one of them. Personally, I haven't really had too much of a problem. Comes to spiders, the normal wolf spiders really just can't kill you unless you walk into them, walk into their attack. If you stand still, they actually just rarely can hit you. It's funny. But, additionally, if you're really scared of them, if you touch them in the back, which the back is where all the colored thistles are, they get really scared and they run away. Can be useful at times. Same thing with the red spitter spiders. Alright, we've gotten up here. We have our spear. Sometimes there can be a spear in this room, but don't bet on it. We're gonna do a very particular thing. It's gotten really dark. And it's at this weird point where it's really dark before it gets light, because like the moon comes out. We're trying to get into that pipe that's above us. We want to stab a spear up in the top right of that little alcove kind of there, if that makes sense. And so that's what we're trying to do. If you do not think you can do this, you can do a backflip and plant a spear down, and then it's there, and then you're on top of the spear, and then you jump and throw the right. But we're gonna do it in one spear throw, so we're gonna do a backflip, start a roll here, and then you jump out like about here or so. So when it comes to rolls, you do the backflip, you hear the sounds of the roll. So now rolls only go for so long. And it can also go up and down 1 block units if so needed. So you can hear the sounds of the roll. Rolls only goes for so long. The longer you're in a roll, if you press jump farther in the roll, you get a higher angle of a jump. And so we want basically the last little bit of the roll. And so either by visual or by the sound, you know when to press jump. And that's how you can do that. I know it seems hard, but once you got it down, you're doing it well. So one other thing, as I do much more advanced stuff with the extended slides, I'm gonna try an EI hop in a little bit. But for people who may be struggling with the backflip, I recommend just learning about the basics. So backflip comes from a turn. A turn is essentially you go a distance for a little bit. It's not... So a turn is this. I'm going a distance for a little bit, and I press the other direction. You hear a sound. You see sparks come from your feet, although because it's dark, we can't actually see the sparks. And then that's how you know you're in a turn. And when you're in a turn, you can press jump right when it happens, and that's how you do a backflip. If I only move a little bit in a direction, it's not going to do that turn. You can't hear that sound. You can't see the like lean of the slug cat there. That's how you know if it's a turn. And just make sure you're going that little distance before you actually try for that backflip. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I can just do backflip. I just turn this way and that way. And they try to do it over 2 inches. And they just can't do it. And they're like, I don't know how to do a backflip. You need to give it a bit more distance. As you get really used to it, you can get it in those 2 inches. But that's the main thing. I'm gonna drink water, because I've been talking a lot. At this point, we're kind of chilling. So we're gonna be meeting Pebbles, and then we're gonna quit out the moment he gives us the mark, which is the ping that happens. Now, he's going to completely skip his internal monologue, I don't even know what to call it, where he tries to speak to you through like images and stuff. And then he gives you the mark of communication, and then he can talk to you. That is skipped by having a hunter save that has already met Pebbles. All they have to do is meet Pebbles and then save as hunter. And then both your monk and survivor runs will not have that scene. Even if you reset that hunter save, for that save slot, that scene will no longer be longer. It kind of feels like monk just doesn't have the longer scene, but I might be wrong. I just noticed something weird when I fully wiped a save recently where that happened. So also one other thing, kind of trivia. So we get mark of communication, we get full karma, we do not get enlightenment. So enlightenment is eating a neuron, and that causes us to glow. That's all different things. Okay, we've gotten the mark, we can quit out. For people who don't want to quit out there, I recommend going into Pebbles, getting the mark, and then going out and then saving. I know those people that don't want to do that. I also recommend getting the Survivor or the Martyr passage, so you can then passage from the top of Pebbles back all the way down to Outskirts, as we now are, because we never saved at any point. Pebbles just works like an echo, except not like an echo. It doesn't kick us back to the last save, so we can quit out and then we're back here. We've technically died because of the quit out, but we keep that increase in karma. We also keep the mark of communication, at least I believe so. Yes, we do, but we do not keep the flag that we have actually met Pebbles, which is relevant in some cases, especially for runs that require you to actually have met Pebbles, which means that we can't quit out, especially for those hunter runs. The hunter all objectives run, which I do recommend to people, is actually just straight up glitchless if you want it to be. Sorry, I'm talking about glitchless again, but I know there's a few people that care about it. I want people to think about it. Alright, we're just moving on the drainage here. Now notice the pathing that I'm taking is the fastest. Not so much. Don't worry too much about like the specific things I'm doing. There's a lot of things that I'm doing that is good, but also just isn't good. Like there's much better things that I could be doing for the micro of the movement I am doing. But I like to do what I like to do, and so it's fun. But worry about the macro, what rooms exactly I'm going through, what general things that I'm doing. I wish I had rocks for extended slides here. Basically, we're just doing any percent from this point on. Except we don't need to get a hazer if we were so doing that skip. Alright, a little bit more water here. Also kind of noticed a lot more of the fast roll button rolls that I've been doing, especially right here. I didn't do it actually because I jumped too early. Didn't get one there either. Very unfortunate. Or what's happening anymore? One other thing about fast roll, if you're doing a fast roll with the fast roll button or just on controller, you can pick up items during the roll, which is not normally true. So now one other thing I do want to state, we're talking about keyboard, talking about controller, use whatever you want. Whatever is the most comfortable for you. I know a lot of people on keyboard, you can definitely experience pain over using a keyboard for an extended period of time, where that may be. Personally, I set all my binds WASD JKL, so it's literally just home row like I'm typing anyway. And that helps me quite a lot. I have fast roll button on space and then map on P. Otherwise, people use controller because they find that more easy to play, or at least they've used it for a long time, or they don't want to use keyboard because of potential pain like that. Also, monk, we do not allow the extended monk breath in the settings, so we do have less lungs, so drainage is actually scary. One scary thing is the physics thing that can happen here on these swims, where these pipes that I've just went through right here, so if you're going down and then I go over here and I'm trying to enter it from the side, the corner does this weird thing where like pushes you away. So if you're coming from this angle, don't. Reset, come back around, and then go straight at it, and that's how you make it through. Same thing over here. Well, that's a big thing. Many people have died to that. Very important. But going back to the controller keyboard thing, just use what's comfortable for you. Both have all the tools to do what they need to do. The one thing about controller is also, we're going to drop here. I'm going to tap left on the screen transition. I messed it up a bit there because I threw an item. But tap left right on the screen transition while holding down the whole time, and you'll make it right in that pipe. Yeah, don't worry about controller versus keyboard too much. I moved from controller to keyboard because my controller died, although I have a new one now. I'm kind of used to keyboard. One thing about keyboard that is kind of a thought of maybe I want to use keyboard is the fast pole climb and a lot of other movements where you have to press left and then right immediately or stuff like that is definitely easier on keyboard because simply you cannot move a joystick fast enough going left and then right again, while you can literally press both left and right at the same time on a keyboard. So those are the thoughts that you may have. Biggest things would be EI hops and fast pole climbs where that is relevant. Entering into subterranean here. Now this is the point where you probably want to follow exactly what I do, because you can't see anything. I'm so used to this that I really just don't care. Now, biggest thing while you're learning here, use the map. If you're lost, just pull it up. You can see everything immediately around you, even if it's not filled out, because I did this run already a little bit earlier. Big recommend. Now I'm gonna fall down this one here. We're gonna hold down. We're gonna try to get a roll. That actually worked out well until I grabbed that pole. We can go into this pipe and go to the right side if we really want to. Otherwise, I'm gonna... What's gotta do that, because I did that really fast. Land on the platform. Don't fall into the pit off to the left and jump into this. We just hold a mole lizard. So mole lizard, if we were a survivor and we just made sounds there, I'd actually go back and go off to the right side of this room, and then I'd come down here, enter this pipe, and go here. If you end up here, this is the middle, and it's connected to nothing, which is unfortunate. But mole is right here. I just heard it. I can kind of see its whiskers. If you ever trigger a lizard, a mole lizard, anywhere in here, its whiskers will be lit up just a little bit. I can just barely see it here. You guys probably can't on the recording, but it is there. They'll only be starting to be seen if they're triggered by sound of something. So if you hear them make sounds, then they will start doing stuff. So they did technically hear us earlier. So this is kind of a death sentence. If it crawls across the pole here, it goes up on the thing and then crawls up here. You literally just got to go back and either go the other way or wait for him to go crawl the way through. So if we were a survivor, I would have done that, but because we're a monk, this guy's not going to move. So I'm just going to walk into it. He's still kind of in the way here. I see him moving down below. I went across. We're going to go here. So now, as any slug cat, if you're on all fours, which is basically just not the state where you're static upwards, you are not making sound. I heard sounds below me. So the best way to tell if something you do makes sound is to throw stuff or try stuff and then see if the mole lizard lights up. Now, I did see this spider. So spiders have a soft grab where they can just kind of grab you. There's this big spider, actually. So seeing that mole lizard where it was is actually horrible. If you see a mole lizard right here, it's pretty bad. Try to not make sound until it goes by. Me making sound there is also bad because it can climb up and be on this pole, and it's terrible. But it didn't really react to us because we're monk and we're magic like that. We made so much sound, and it should have been really bad, actually. I did everything wrong there. You really don't want to accidentally fall and then just wait. You just want to go really fast through that section, or you wait. Because once you fall down that pipe, you probably make sound, and so you want to make sure you go through it, and then you're onto the flat area, and then that little ladder, and then you're going down, and moving right, getting that shortcut, and then we're just kind of going down here now. And now we're at depths. And I'm not going to do this part, because it's the same for literally every run. We got 25 minutes. I think it's like 5 or 6 minutes for a decent run, or at least I would take like 5-6 minutes to get to the end where we stop time. Now, time stops when we enter the part of the Void Sea where the camera starts following us. So if you enter the last room, you go down a screen, and then you go down one more screen, and that's where time stops. The in-game timer itself will stop. That's how you'll know. But that's the Pebbles % run. There's just a little thing where there's a jump to get up to where the Guardians are. I recommend just having a spear with you. Otherwise, don't die to the fall after the Guardians, or die to the fall getting actually down here in the depths. I don't really have anything else to say. I do recommend trying this run if you're really trying to speedrun or do anything crazy in the game in general for the first time, as the whole run of going from outskirts to Pebbles in one cycle is great. And if you can't do it, you should feel really good about that. Just practicing it, maybe you save right at the beginning of Chimney. That's also really good. Of course, then you're going to wake up at Chimney. You got to go the rest of the way. Then go get back into outskirts and then in the drainage. And otherwise, well, those are just some ideas. All right, I don't think I really have anything of substance to say at this point. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the kind comments in the previous video as well. Previous videos. And yeah, that was pretty good to see. I'm just kind of doing all this because I want the information that I know out there. These videos aren't edited at all. I'm literally going to press stop recording and I'm going to drag the raw and put it into YouTube simply because if I tried to edit it or add a bunch of other fancy stuff, I'd take way too long on it and it would actually never get out. So I'm glad to actually just do a run, say all the things I mean, try to point out things I think that are important. Maybe there's something you felt like I missed or that I should add in future things. I'd love to know that. Thank you all for watching. I will make another video on Pilgrimage for Monk and Survivor. It's the same thing. I'm going to do it as Monk in this case. And it has some cool stuff going on in farm arrays. Although maybe people don't always want to deal with deer. Although that's kind of the point. We're going around the deer to not use them. That's why the farm array is actually pretty cool. Because you don't actually got to worry about the deer. Alright. Thank you all for watching. Bye.